G'day Year 10 and 11. Today we are making Potsticker Dumplings basically, or gyozas, however you want to call them. We're actually making the pastry today. We're making our dipping sauce and we'll be making our gyoza filling. Okay, so first of all, we'll just start with our dipping sauce. Pretty straightforward. Look, we're going to grab the green onion, shallots, whatever you want to call them, and we're just going to chop them up nice and fine. Okay. Yep. Just grab those last little bits. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, so once we've got them, we'll pop them into our little bowl. Ready to go for our dipping sauce. We should also have some rice wine vinegar, and we're going to pop that in with the shallots. Some soy sauce as well. Fantastic, that's going to go in. So those two in, and then we'll have some crushed red pepper, or in my case, I've actually got some little dried chilies. I like a little bit extra bite, so I'm going to chuck those in. Happy day. Dipping sauce with a stir will be complete. Fantastic. So you got a nice little dipping sauce, little green onions in there, always tasty, and a little bit of chili. Fantastic. So we're just going to set that aside and then start on our dumpling mix. Okay, next we're going to start with our dumplings. Now we've got our half cup of plain flour and 40 mils of water. So hot water actually works better for your dumplings. We're just going to pop that in together. Hot water will help give them a nice silkiness when you make them. So we're just mixing that dough around. I'm going to bring that flour together. Okay, very soon I'll pop it out onto the bench. We're just trying to push that in together so that all the flour starts to mix together. Okay. And I might go for a dribble more of my water. I'm just going to move this board over for a second. So you'll be able to see, obviously, as you're making them, if you need a little bit more water. But with all pastries, at least try and give them a bit of a good mix first to try and incorporate that water into the flour. Otherwise, you run the risk of it getting too soggy, okay, by going gung-ho with the water straight away, or liquid, whatever liquid you're using, and then when you start really mixing those ingredients together, you find out that you've got too much liquid for your flour mix. Okay, so just being cautious and trying to mix that amount of liquid in first. Alright, so you can see that mine's starting to come together. Mine's looking a little bit dry still, but as I say, I'm just going to give that a little bit more, work it through, so that hopefully all that disperses nicely. So I'm just, anytime you want to knead something, you want to use the heel of your hand and just pushing that mixture into itself, I should say. Just going to keep working away. Fantastic. Starting to feel a bit nicer. Starting to look a little bit smoother. What I might do, a little trick sometimes, is if you do feel like it's a little bit dry still, and you've reached this point where you've mixed it all together, if you try and pour some water onto it now, it's really hard to incorporate that water. If you just wet your hand a little bit, and then just use that hand to knead through, it's just going to add just that perfect amount of water into your dough. If it's very close and it only needs a little bit more water, just wetting that hand just slightly, okay? Because you obviously run the risk, again, as I say, of adding way too much water, and then you've kind of got to play around with ratios, and it's never going to be the same if you start adding flour to your mix, etc. Alright, so you want to be cautious, you want to make sure that you're being sensible when you're adding that, and just working slowly and just feeling what the pastry wants to do. Okay, so what the pastry basically needs. So our dough's looking nice and smooth now. Okay, giving it a knead for a few minutes. I wouldn't say you need any more than that. Alright, and I think that's looking really good now. Nice and smooth, okay. Probably, if I was really pedantic, I could probably go a little bit more liquid, okay. But I'm just going to err on the side of caution, okay. I'm just going to go with that because I reckon that'll come up absolutely beautiful when we roll it and we're making those dumplings. So for now, after any good pastry's had a knead, it needs to rest, okay? So we need to give it some time, about 30 minutes. Shake that up. Normally, when I shape the dough up as well, I don't like to shape it into a ball, as I've said before. I like to flatten it out a little bit, because you're going to come along and roll this. But in this case, we're actually going to do something slightly different after we've rested the dough. So we'll leave this in a ball and just give it half hour just to rest and relax. Okay, so fantastic. So we've made our dough, made our dipping sauce. Next step is the filling. Now normally I would say make sure when you're cutting anything on the board, you only got one thing on the board. Yes, I have a couple things here. This board is massive, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to break that rule at the moment. But just depending on the size of your board, my knife can't reach all the way across the board. I'm not going to accidentally hit that while I'm chopping. So just depending on the size of your board, use common sense. Okay, so I've got my mushrooms. Alright, I'm going to chop them up first. I've got a bit of a selection here. I'm not sure what you've been able to get, or Mel's been able to get for the food packs, so any mushrooms will do. No dramas on the mushrooms, okay? Okay, so I'm just going to go through, got some oysters there, oyster mushrooms. Fantastic for lowering cholesterol. There you go. Excellent. Statins in the oyster mushrooms are fantastic. But anyway, more on actually cooking. Alright, so just going to keep chopping those up. Fantastic. Got some shiitakes as well. Okay. Nice Asian mushroom. So, interesting flavour, not everyone's cup of tea. Sometimes people might just prefer plain old everyday mushrooms. So, alright, so just finished chopping those up. Fantastic. Now we don't want them chopped to the nth degree of their life. We still want some volume in them. Obviously, as they cook, they will reduce in size. Excellent. So, next, cabbage. Look, just want to get a nice, or actually chop it. Want to get a nice fine slice on your cabbage. Okay. Cabbage is great. Like our gyozas right now, obviously they're vegetarian. However, cabbage you'll find in pretty much all gyozas. Good for padding out, but giving a little bit of a textural element to there as well. Okay, so I've just chopped that through the centre as well, just trying to make it nice and fine. Then I've got this little bit left, so and I'll just slice through that. Again, keeping it nice and fine. Alright, nice little bits. Trying to go for a nice, consistently thin product there. Okay, so now, look, we've got our mushrooms and our cabbage looking lovely, ready to rock and roll, some might say. What else have we got? We've got our garlic. So just going to hit that. You'll find it easy to peel the skin off. Once you hit it, just give the skin a bit of a squeeze and away she comes. Fantastic. So, good little method there. What we will do with the onion, with the garlic, is just slice it up. Okay, cut it up nice and small, and we're just going to crush it. So, again, cutting nice and small, working that garlic there, and then just bring it over towards the edge so you're not stretching there with your knife. And then you're just going to hold your fingers on your knife, make sure all the garlic's there, hold your fingers on your knife, and then lift up the back and bring it down, and just crushing that garlic there. Minced, crushing, whatever you want to call it, but you've got some fantastic garlic after that. Look at that. Happy days. Excellent. So, we've got our garlic, cabbage, mushrooms, need some ginger. Don't need too much ginger. What you can do, I'll just put that over the side. You can just peel your ginger down there with your knife. Just go slow, be gentle. We're not going for any land speed records here at peeling ginger. Okay, we want safety first. Okay, and one thing as well, it's about however you feel comfortable. So if you want to peel your ginger, maybe with a smaller knife, that might be a better option. Oh, my kids are just going absolutely nuts. So, a smaller knife might be a better option. Okay. Excellent. Fantastic. Alright. So, I've got all that peeled up. That's great. Now what we can do with our ginger, do some nice slices. Okay. Once that's sliced, we'll cut back the other way. You may find some resistance in your ginger. That's alright. That's just the fibrous nature of the ginger. Alright, so we've gone back that way, and we can turn that again and go back the other way. Fantastic. So, our ginger's nice. It's nice to have a little bit of roughage in your ginger rather than completely grating it on special ginger graters, etc. I like a bit of roughage because you get some little bites in your dumplings and it just adds that burst of flavour in your mouth. It's fantastic. Alright, next. So now what we got is our spring onion. Okay, so we're just going to lop the ends off those. You can replant those if you want, and the spring onions start growing again. Magic. Alright, so look, I'm going to chop the ends off, make it easy so we can just slice her up, get through the spring onion a bit quicker by slicing more than one at a time. However, as I always say, it's completely up to you, the pace you want to run at. Oh my goodness, my children are making a bit of noise downstairs today. Alright, so completely up to you, whatever pace you want to run at. So there we go, we've got our spring onions and everything else chopped up. Alright, so once we've got everything chopped up, fantastic. Our garlic, ginger, spring onions, mushrooms and cabbage. We've also got our soy sauce and our mirin. Excellent, we are ready to go. Head over to the frying pan and fry all this up. Excellent. Okay, so once you've heated up the pan, nice and hot, fantastic. A little bit of oil, so you can use some vegetable oil or some peanut oil if you're not allergic. Okay, in goes your mushroom. Fantastic, we're going to fry that off. Excellent. Give that a nice fry off for just a couple of minutes. Start to break that mushroom down. Okay. Looking good. You can hear that sizzle, pan's nice and hot. Warm that up well. Excellent, so we'll leave that for a second. Excellent, give it a little bit more move around. Just make sure we're not sticking anywhere. But you can definitely see the volume of that mushrooms come down a little bit. So next we're going to add in the spring onion, sorry, not the spring onion, the cabbage. So we'll pop the cabbage in. Excellent. That's going to add a little bit of moisture into that pan as that cabbage starts to cook. Okay, and that'll also start to bring that cabbage down. Make it a little bit smaller. Excellent. Fantastic. Working away nicely there. Now look, while that's going, I would suggest adding in your aromats, so your ginger and your garlic, and even those beautiful spring onions are chopped up nice and fine. So pop all that in and give that a little bit more of a stir around. Oh, now you get that flavour. The smell of that just really smells amazing now. And then you can see that cabbage is really starting to come down. Fantastic. Alright. So look, we're nearly there. What we'll do now is just add our two sauces. So our soy sauce and our mirin. Alright. They're just going to bring the rest of that down. And just make our mix look amazing. So now all we need to do, turn that off, and then we just let that sit now, so that we can obviously, we'll obviously be able to touch it to put it into our dumplings once we've rolled those wrappers. Excellent. Alright, so now we're getting on to our pastry. It's been resting. We're just going to lightly flour the bench out. Fantastic, nice bit of flour there. Okay, we've got our rolling pin. This here, our pastry, we want to basically just roll it out into a nice little log. I'm just gonna okay, and I'll probably put a bit too much flour on the board. Having a little bit of trouble getting a roll on there. There we go. Still am. That's alright. Sometimes things don't go exactly your way. All good. Here we go. Just got to persevere. Alright. Fantastic. Look at that. So, you want probably about 30 centimetre, about a ruler length. And then we're going to just grab a knife down the centre. Oh, look at that. Alright, now we're going to want 6. So, yep. So we'll just go there and then we go 1, 2. Yep. Fantastic. So down the centre again. 1, 2. There we go. 6 each side. Fantastic. So we've got our 12. So once we've got those on our little floured surface, give it a little push out. Okay, and then a little bit of flour. We're going to roll our little, you may need a little flour and rolling pin as well. Okay, just keep that nice and floured. Roll that out. Try and get a nice circle shape. Okay, you want thickness, you want it still, you don't want it, I guess, too thick. Probably like a piece of paper thickness really. Might be a good measure for the thickness that you want. So you're going to roll those out. 1, I'll just show you 2 here. But you're going to roll all 12 out. Fantastic. So one way, other way. Okay, a bit of flour again. If you start to run out of flour, everything starts to stick. Obviously, just throw a little bit more out there. Excellent. So once you got the first, you're going to get pretty good at the thickness, because realistically the perfect guesstimation of your sizes, every size is pretty much going to be the same. So once you get them the same size, the thickness will take care of itself. Okay, so from there, roll all 12 out, and then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so as you see, I've rolled a few up. So I've got 2 remaining ones here. So with your mix, nice little teaspoon in the middle. Okay, the trick is you don't want too much filling in there, otherwise you're not going to be able to close your dumpling up, and everything's just going to fall all out. So it won't be really good when you're trying to cook it. Okay, so mix in there, and then got a little bowl of water. So you want to just dip your finger in that water and draw a half circle of water around your dumpling wrapper. Then we're just going to roll over and just press that down so that that seals up nicely. Excellent, look at that, that's fantastic. So that's sealed up great. And then from there, there's a few different ways to do it. The easy way that I find is just rolling the edges over. So just roll those edges over, just create a nice little fold. Looks fantastic. Alright, so you want to keep that base nice and flat, because that's what we're going to be frying. Okay, so again, just on this one, nice bit of water. Keep all that filling inside. Give it a nice press down. I'm going to try and get as much of that air out as possible within your dumpling wrapper. Okay, and then again, just folding that over, making it nice and pretty. You can definitely investigate a whole bunch of different ways to do that if you like. From there, we're going to fry it up. That's our last step, and then plate it up. Okay, now so we've got our oil. Just going to pop that in there. Alright, so we're going to pop our, I might just move that off the heat for a second, okay, because it was quite warm. We're going to pop our dumplings in there. Excellent. Just turn that down a touch. Just make sure they've all got nice little space, nice little bit of room to move about. Look at that, none of them are stuck. Fantastic. That looks great. Alright, so now we're just going to give them a little fry up. Just give them a couple of minutes in there just to develop a nice golden colour on the bottom. Okay, you see already they're getting some nice colour. So just want to share some of that oil around, make sure they're all getting some of that oil. And just going to make sure you got your half a cup of stock on hand and the lid. Okay, so as you see, nice, look at that colour, look at that, it looks amazing. So that's what we want. Woo. We want that nice colour on the bottom. Alright, just be careful obviously if you're trying to pick them up like this. If you do touch the oil, you will know about it. Okay, so just be very careful. Okay, you can always use tongs. Okay, they're looking really good. A nice bit of colour. All right, so remembering our pan is very hot, so we're going to add our water in there. Obviously, that's going to give you a lot of steam, so just be very careful when you do that. Okay, so as we go, just going to pop that in. I did tell you it was hot. So we're just going to pop the lid on there for a second, for maybe a minute or two. And so we're looking at two different cooking methods in one here. So we're looking at steaming, because that top section of the dumpling wrapper is getting nicely steamed while the lid's on. And we're also looking at frying, basically. So we've just got a little shallow fry as such on the bottom of our dumpling. So it covers 2 methods of cookery, which is pretty cool, in one. So as you can see, maybe through that glass, that liquid is still boiling away nice and rapidly. What I will do, just make sure that those dumplings are continuing to move, because you don't want them to get stuck. Alright, so I'll pop that lid off. I'll let the rest of that liquid evaporate away, and I'm going to be left with absolutely beautiful dumplings which have a lovely colour underneath, nice little crisp as well. Okay, so as that liquid comes away, evaporates away, we're going to be left with nice little crispy underneath and beautiful soft other side to our dumplings. Alright, so last thing to do from here is basically plate it up. So all I can say to you from now is enjoy.